New York's most notorious detention center. Behind the skyline of New York City stand a place where thousands have waited for justice. But for many, the wait became the punishment itself. This is the story of Rikers Island, one of America's most controversial jail complexes. But to understand why it became so infamous, we have to begin with one simple question. How did a small island become one of the most debated correctional facilities in the world? Long before headlines described lawsuits, federal investigations, and reform efforts, Rikers Island was simply a piece of land in New York City's East River. Few could have imagined that this isolated island would one day become one of the largest jail complexes in the United States. Unlike state or federal prisons, Rikers serves a different purpose. Most of the people housed there have not been sentenced to long prison terms. Many are awaiting trial. Others are serving shorter sentences, typically less than 1 year. Every day, hundreds of people arrive while hundreds more leave. The population constantly changes. That constant movement makes operating Rikers very different from running a traditional prison. Each new arrival begins with the intake process. Personal belongings are collected. Identification is verified. Medical screenings are conducted. Housing assignments are determined based on classification procedures designed to separate individuals according to factors such as age, security level, medical needs, and legal status. The goal is to maintain safety while processing thousands of admissions every year. But managing such a large population is an enormous challenge. Located just outside the borough of Queens, the jail complex spans hundreds of acres and contains multiple facilities, each serving different classifications of detainees. The buildings are connected by secure roads, checkpoints, and heavily monitored entrances. Correction officers, medical professionals, counselors, maintenance workers, educators, and administrative staff all work together around the clock. The jail never truly sleeps. Every hour follows carefully scheduled routines. Security counts, meal service, medical appointments, court transportation, visitation, cleaning details, classification reviews. Everything must happen according to strict procedures. Yet with thousands of detainees moving through the system, even routine operations require extraordinary coordination. Unlike long-term prisons, uncertainty defines daily life at Rikers. Some detainees stay only a few days. Others remain for months while awaiting court proceedings. Legal schedules can change. Court appearances may be postponed. Housing assignments may shift. For many individuals, uncertainty becomes one of the most difficult parts of detention. Outside the facility, New York City continues moving at its familiar pace. Millions of people commute through busy streets without realizing that only a short distance away, one of America's most closely examined correctional institutions operates every hour of every day. The contrast is striking. One world moves quickly. The other often feels as though time is slowed. Rikers Island has become the subject of countless reports, documentaries, academic studies, and government reviews. Supporters of reform argue that the facility faces long-standing operational challenges created by aging infrastructure, staffing shortages, overcrowding during certain periods, and the complex needs of its population. Correction officials point to the difficulty of safely managing thousands of detainees with widely different backgrounds, legal circumstances, and medical requirements. The reality is rarely simple. Every day presents new situations requiring professional judgment. Correction officers begin each shift with security briefings. Control rooms monitor surveillance systems. Housing units conduct scheduled counts. Medical teams respond to emergencies. Transportation officers coordinate court appearances across New York City's judicial system. Behind every secure door is an operation requiring constant attention. Technology has become an increasingly important part of that mission. Surveillance cameras monitor common areas. Electronic locking systems secure housing units. Communication networks allow officers to coordinate responses throughout the complex. Digital record systems help staff track housing assignments, medical information, and movement within the facility. Yet even with modern technology, correctional professionals often emphasize that successful operations depend most on communication, training, and experience. No camera replaces sound judgment. No computer replaces professional decision-making. Rikers has also become a symbol in broader discussions about criminal justice reform. Public officials, legal experts, community organizations, and researchers continue debating important questions. How should large urban jail systems operate? How can safety be improved for both detainees and staff? What role should mental health services play? How should pretrial detention be managed? These conversations extend far beyond New York. They influence correctional policy across the United States. The physical environment itself tells part of the story. Many buildings were constructed decades ago. Over time, maintaining aging infrastructure has become increasingly difficult. Renovations have been completed in some areas. Other sections continue to reflect earlier eras of correctional design. Wide concrete corridors, steel security doors, observation windows, secure recreation yards, medical clinics, visitation rooms. Each area serves a specific purpose within the larger operation. For first-time detainees, arriving at Rikers can feel overwhelming. The unfamiliar environment, the security procedures, the constant movement of staff, the uncertainty of legal proceedings. Every experience is unique, shaped by individual circumstances and the duration of detention. Correction staff receive specialized training to manage a wide variety of situations while maintaining institutional safety. Their responsibilities extend far beyond security alone. They coordinate with healthcare providers, mental health professionals, court officials, attorneys, social workers, emergency responders. Every department plays a role in keeping the facility operational. As daylight fades over the East River, another shift begins. Fresh officers report for duty. Housing units conduct evening counts. Medical staff continue overnight care. Transportation schedules for the next morning are prepared. Inside Rikers, the clock never stops. The institution continues operating whether the city notices or not. Yet beneath these daily routines lies the question that has defined Rikers Island for decades. How did detention center created to temporarily house people awaiting court become one of the most scrutinized jail complexes in America? The answer is found not in a single event, but through years of changing policies, public attention, legal challenges, and ongoing efforts to balance safety, accountability, and reform. And as those pressures continued to grow, Rikers Island found itself facing a level of national scrutiny unlike anything in its history. The headlines that brought Rikers Island into the national spotlight did not appear overnight. They were the result of years of investigations, court filings, government reports, and public debate. As concerns about safety, staffing, and conditions grew, more people began asking the same question. Could one of America's largest jail complexes continue operating the way it always had? To answer that, we have to step inside the daily reality of Rikers. Every morning begins before sunrise. Correction officers report for duty. Supervisors review overnight incidents. Housing units conduct formal counts. Medical staff prepare clinics for the day's appointments. Kitchen workers begin preparing thousands of meals. Transportation officers organize court schedules for detainees appearing before judges across New York City. Every department depends on the others. If one part of the system slows down, the effects are felt throughout the entire facility. Unlike prisons where many inmates remain for years, Rikers experiences constant movement. New detainees arrive. Others are released. Some transfer to state correctional facilities after sentencing. Others leave after court decisions or posted bail. Managing these continuous changes requires detailed planning and coordination. Classification teams play one of the most important roles. Their job is to determine appropriate housing assignments based on security needs, medical conditions, age, and other documented factors. The goal is simple: reduce unnecessary conflict while maintaining safety for detainees and staff. But no classification system is perfect. Every day presents new challenges. Some detainees arrive experiencing mental health crises. Others require immediate medical attention. Some have disabilities requiring specialized accommodations. Many enter the facility carrying the stress of uncertain legal futures. Providing care while maintaining security is one of the jail's greatest responsibilities. Mental health professionals have become increasingly important within the complex. Psychologists, psychiatrists, licensed counselors, social workers. They assess detainees who may require additional services and work alongside correction officers to respond to behavioral emergencies. In recent years, many experts have emphasized that correctional facilities are caring for growing numbers of individuals with serious mental health needs. This trend has affected jail systems across the United States, not just Rikers. Healthcare represents another enormous operation. Medical clinics operate every day. Doctors and nurses provide routine care, emergency treatment, medication management, and chronic disease monitoring. For a facility housing thousands of people, healthcare logistics resemble those of a small hospital. Every appointment must be coordinated with security procedures. Every movement requires staff supervision. Every emergency response follows carefully developed protocols. Outside observers often focus on dramatic headlines. Inside the facility, however, much of daily life consists of routine. Meals are delivered according to schedule. Housing areas are cleaned. Educational classes operate where available. Library services continue. Legal visits take place. Religious services are offered for those who choose to attend. Every activity follows strict operational procedures. Yet Rikers has long faced criticism regarding staffing shortages. Public reports have documented periods when correction officers worked extended overtime. Managing a large detention population requires significant personnel. When staffing levels become strained, operations grow more difficult. Movement between housing units slows. Programs may be delayed. Court transportation becomes more challenging. Administrators have repeatedly worked to recruit and train new staff while addressing employee retention. Technology has helped improve some aspects of security. Modern surveillance systems monitor housing areas. Electronic access controls regulate movement through secure doors. Digital communication networks allow supervisors to coordinate responses more efficiently than in earlier decades. But technology alone cannot solve every problem. Correctional work remains fundamentally human. Professional judgment, communication, experience. These qualities remain essential. One of the most significant developments in recent years has been increased public oversight. Independent monitoring organizations, federal courts, local government agencies, advocacy groups, academic researchers, journalists. Each has examined different aspects of Rikers operations. Their reports have documented both challenges and efforts to improve conditions. Some recommendations focused on healthcare. Others emphasized staff training. Some called for changes in facility management. Others advocated broader criminal justice, reforms extending beyond the jail itself. The discussions became increasingly national in scope. Questions once asked only within New York began appearing across the country. Should large urban jail systems be redesigned? How can detention facilities better balance security with humane treatment? What alternatives exist for certain low-risk defendants awaiting trial? These debates continue today. Meanwhile, everyday operations never stop. Correction officers continue conducting security rounds. Maintenance teams repair aging infrastructure. Medical staff respond to emergencies. Food service workers prepare thousands of meals. Administrative personnel coordinate legal paperwork. Behind every headline are thousands of employees performing responsibilities that often go unnoticed. The physical condition of many buildings has also received considerable attention. Some housing units date back decades. Maintaining older structures requires constant repairs. Heating systems, plumbing, electrical infrastructure, security hardware. Every component demands ongoing maintenance. City officials have announced long-term plans to replace the existing jail complex with smaller borough-based facilities, reflecting a major shift in correctional policy. Supporters argue that modern facilities could improve operations and provide better access to courts and family visitation. Others raise questions about costs, timelines, and implementation. The future remains the subject of continuing public discussion. For detainees, however, the immediate concern is often much simpler. Waiting. Waiting for court dates. Waiting for legal decisions. Waiting for family visits. Waiting for release. Time passes differently inside a detention center. Each day follows familiar routines, yet uncertainty remains constant. As evening approaches, another shift change begins. Fresh officers arrive. Supervisors exchange briefings. Medical staff continue overnight care. Control rooms monitor dozens of security cameras across the complex. Outside, New York City's lights reflect across the East River. Inside, another night begins much like the last. Yet beyond the daily routines and operational challenges lies an even larger story. How did decades of public criticism, legal action, and reform efforts ultimately reshape the future of Rikers Island? And why did city leaders eventually decide that one of America's most famous jail complexes should close forever? Those answers would change the history of Rikers Island and the future of criminal justice in New York City. The future of Rikers Island is no longer just a debate. It is a plan. After decades of public discussion, court oversight, government reports, and criminal justice reform efforts, New York City announced its intention to close the Rikers Island jail complex and replace it with smaller borough-based detention facilities. It marked one of the most ambitious correctional reform projects in American history. But closing a jail is far more complicated than locking its gates. Thousands of detainees must still be housed. Court proceedings must continue. Correction officers must remain on duty. Medical services cannot stop. Public safety remains the highest priority. Even as plans for closure move forward, Rikers continues operating every single day. Inside the facility, daily routines remain familiar. Morning counts begin before sunrise. Housing units open according to schedule. Medical appointments continue. Legal visits take place. Meals are served. Maintenance crews repair aging buildings. Every shift follows carefully established procedures designed to keep the complex functioning safely. For correction officers, the mission has never changed. Regardless of public opinion or political debate, their responsibility remains maintaining order, protecting staff, ensuring detainee safety, and responding professionally to emergencies. Many officers have spent decades working at Rikers. They have witnessed changes in leadership, policy, technology, and correctional philosophy. They have watched generations of employees begin and end their careers inside the same walls. Some remember when paper records filled filing cabinets. Today, digital systems manage housing assignments, medical information, and movement throughout the facility. Security technology has advanced dramatically. Surveillance cameras cover large portions of the complex. Electronic locking systems improve access control. Communication networks allow supervisors to coordinate responses almost instantly. Yet experienced correction professionals often say that technology supports good judgment. It never replaces it. Successful operations still depend on training, communication, professionalism, experience. Healthcare has also evolved significantly. Modern detention centers must provide comprehensive medical services for large populations. Doctors, nurses, mental health professionals, dentists, pharmacists, and emergency responders work together every day. Many detainees arrive with chronic medical conditions requiring treatment. Others need mental health support. Some require specialized medications. Providing healthcare inside a secure correctional environment requires careful coordination between medical staff and security personnel. Across the United States, many correctional systems now recognize that mental health care plays an essential role in institutional safety. Professionals continue researching better ways to support both detainees and correction staff. Education has also expanded over time. Many detainees participate in literacy classes. Some complete high school equivalency programs. Others enroll in vocational training designed to prepare them for future employment after release. Research has consistently shown that education can improve opportunities following incarceration. For individuals awaiting trial or serving shorter sentences, these programs can become valuable tools for rebuilding stability. Family visitation remains another important part of detention. Maintaining positive family relationships can provide emotional support during difficult periods. Attorneys meet with clients to prepare legal defenses. Religious leaders offer spiritual guidance. Counselors help individuals navigate personal challenges. Every service contributes to the larger goal of operating a professional correctional institution. Outside Rikers Island, however, discussions about criminal justice continue evolving. Communities across America are asking difficult questions. How should detention facilities balance security with rehabilitation? What alternatives exist for certain nonviolent offenders? How can pretrial detention systems operate more fairly while protecting public safety? These conversations have shaped reforms far beyond New York City. Rikers has become more than a jail. It has become a case study. Universities analyze its history. Researchers examine operational challenges. Policy experts debate solutions. Lawmakers study lessons learned. Its influence extends well beyond the East River. The decision to close Rikers reflects broader changes in correctional philosophy. Rather than concentrating thousands of detainees in one massive complex, city officials have proposed modern facilities located closer to local courthouses and communities. Supporters believe smaller facilities may improve transportation efficiency, family visitation, and access to legal services. Critics raise concerns about construction costs, timelines, and implementation challenges. As with many major public policy decisions, opinions remain divided. What is clear is that the criminal justice system continues evolving. Correctional practices today differ greatly from those of previous generations. Training standards have changed. Healthcare expectations have expanded. Mental health services receive greater attention. Technology continues transforming institutional operations. Yet one principle remains unchanged. Public safety remains the foundation of every correctional system. As evening falls across New York City, lights begin shining across the skyline. Traffic moves across bridges. Airplanes approach nearby airports. Millions of people continue their routines. Just beyond the city, Rikers Island remains active. Control rooms monitor security systems. Housing units conduct evening counts. Medical staff continue overnight care. Officers prepare for another long shift. Another day comes to an end. Another begins almost immediately. For many detainees, the wait continues. For staff, the responsibility never pauses. For policymakers, the work of reform remains unfinished. Perhaps that is the true story of Rikers Island. It is not simply a place defined by concrete buildings, security fences, or detention cells. It represents decades of changing ideas about justice, accountability, rehabilitation, and public safety. Its history reflects the challenges faced by one of the nation's largest urban jail systems. Its future reflects society's continuing search for better solutions. Whether viewed through the eyes of correction officers, healthcare workers, legal professionals, policymakers, researchers, or the public, one lesson remains clear. Correctional institutions are constantly evolving. Every generation re-examines how justice should function. Every reform effort seeks to improve upon the past. Rikers Island has become one of the most recognized symbols of that ongoing process. As a planned transition toward new detention facilities continues, the island's place in American correctional history is already secure. Its buildings may eventually close. Its operations may one day move elsewhere. But the lessons learned from decades of experience will continue shaping criminal justice policy for years to come. Because in the end, the story of Rikers Island has never been only about one jail. It has always been about the larger questions every society must answer. How do we protect the public? How do we ensure fairness? How do we balance accountability with human dignity? Those questions remain long after the gates eventually close, and they will continue guiding the future of criminal justice far beyond the shores of Rikers Island.